That also goes back into having an outlook for the future. Due to the fact that we live in a capitalistic economy, we have to be able to make some type of money to survive. And I do want my people to survive. So, like having a plan for economic development long term is important.
All right, folks, we're back. This is the Foolish Optimist podcast. I am your host, Amy McDonald. If you aren't following us wherever you're listening just yet, please do. That would be really great. And if you're feeling absolutely super, you can even leave us a comment or rate and review us. Now, on to the fun part. I'm very excited to introduce our guest today. Robert Lewis Hunter is running in the Alabama State House District 28. He's a local community organizer. He serves as the vice chair of minority affairs for Etowah County and has been an active youth caucus member within the state Democratic Executive Committee for the past 6 years. Robert ran the Free Store in Gadsden for 2 years and organized Gadsden Pride for 3 consecutive years. And he's running for office to make the district more affordable for the entire community. You can follow him at Vote for the number 4 Robert Hunter on TikTok or on Facebook. Vote for Robert Hunter, Alabama House District 28. And his website is voteforroberthunter.com. Robert, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so grateful. So we start this podcast off exactly the same way every single time, but I want to hear from you. Why are you running in 2026?
Because my people in my community deserves better and deserves to be able to survive. Community members cannot currently live off of the minimum wage that we have. And there are issues that I feel like the current representative is not helping with, mostly due to the fact that I don't feel he's the best representation for my community. My current representative is a millionaire. He owns well over 20 homes. He and his family are doing well for themselves. And that's not normally a bad thing. But my community is made up of single mothers that are just working 2 jobs. My community is made up of unhoused members that are wondering if they're going to eat tomorrow. My community is made up of at-risk youth that don't feel that there's going to be any type of safety net for when they leave high school. Like, they don't feel they're going to have guaranteed food other than lunch and sometimes breakfast if they can get there early enough. My community entails community members that are trans individuals that are scared for the current, outlook on where we are today. My community is large and vast, and so does my capability and willingness to help them. It has to match it.
That's an amazing answer. It's probably one of the best answers I've gotten. And I think you're right. I think so many communities across the country right now deserve so much better than what they have in representation. And I think it sounds like you would fit that bill exponentially better than a multimillionaire with 20 homes and things of that nature. And I think you're right on the money when we say, like, it's not bad that people are doing very well for themselves, but if they don't understand and they can't empathize and advocate for the community needs, then what the get them out. Do you want to talk a little bit about your community organizing and how you think that would color your outlook when you get to the Alabama State House?
I think it would color my outlook based on operationally what should and could get done. I am not going to lie and I'm not going to exaggerate over what I can get done at the state house. The state house is the messaging. What I do in my community is the actual action. A great example being I'm not 100% sure I can get one of my bills passed because the policy in itself is helping working class individuals, but I'll be working on it. I want to be able to expand what people think is possible and then actually work on those possibilities in my community. So, for example, one of my policies deals with rent stabilization. Due to the fact that the most of Alabama does not make a 10% increase in their salary every single year, they can't cover a 10%
Yeah.
increase in their rent every single year. So I would like to put a rent cap on, specifically saying you can't raise your rent more than 10% year over year if you own more than 3 homes. If you own less than 3 homes, we'll take 15%. I say that because, like I said earlier, nobody's got money like that. The
Right.
last time that I made a 10% increase in my salary was exactly 22%, and I had 3 jobs at the time.
I was about to say the only way you get a 10% increase is if you switch jobs. Maybe if you're lucky. Like if you get a really great opportunity at another company, but like
Mm,
people aren't giving out 10% increases willy-nilly. Like
no,
they never have.
no. And that also goes back to that is the messaging, that is the bill I will be pushing. But like actual action in my community, we're going to start looking at forming tenant unions.
Hell yeah.
And because quite literally, I think there's maybe 5, 6 landlords in the entire county that, when I say landlords, I mean people that own more than 3 to 4 houses, my opponent included. Those are actions I'll be taking at the local level to counteract that. I do want some of this stuff to be actually activated at the state level, which is one of the reasons why I also want to run, because if I win, I'll be another vote for Alabama getting Medicaid expansion.
Alabama's one of the only states that hasn't, right? Hasn't
Yep.
expanded.
And from what I understand, we're only about 10 to 11 Republicans short of being able to expand Medicaid. Me winning removes one of those 10 to 11 Republicans.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, flipping a district is always great, but also that's pretty close. 10 to 11, right? And there's a lot of people running across the state of Alabama who believe that Medicare should be expanded, and I think yeah, I think that's awesome. Have you lived in Alabama your whole life?
Yes.
Yeah. Talk to me a little bit about this Gadsden Free Store. I wanna hear more about that. Sounds interesting.
So it was a mutual aid front. Essentially, we brought in resources from the community. Organizers would help pay for the actual building. And from there, we would inventory, we would put stuff out, we would have volunteers come and help with the maintenance. We even had a second section where you could go in the back and hold events for a lot cheaper than what other places were asking. So it mostly came out of the George Floyd protests.
Yeah.
And community members, I'd been talking to someone who was organizing the protests. So community members were wanting to say, hey, we want to do more in our community. This is a plan that I've been working with that individual to try to figure out how to get off the ground for at least 2 or 3 years. What ended up happening was there was enough community support that we were able to open it. The only problem was I was able to run it for 3 years, but at the end of the day, what ended up happening was I could not afford to run that for 10 to 30 hours a week on top of paying rent. So it became a issue where I could not help people if I was dealing with the same potential homelessness that they are. It made my organizing a lot less effective, so I had to give that up. But for 3 years, we did help well over 20, 30 people be able to get out of homelessness, in part because a lot of unhoused individuals get there because they don't have their birth certificate, the driver's license,
Mhm.
they don't have clean clothes to go to an interview, and because people are very picky about how they present during interviews, you're like, "Hey, man, it looks fine, but you have a mustard stain on your shirt." And you're like, "Yeah, it's my only shirt. I live
Right.
out in the wilderness. I live in a
Right.
bush. Like, I can't live
There's gonna be
anywhere
some
else because I can't
stains.
afford."
Yeah.
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 So I was able to help a lot of individuals out with that. That was about it. We used that location for our first 2 Pride events. After it closed, I ended up doing another Pride event, which is not that big of a deal, to be frank with you. I think everyone needs to be able to have representation in their community.
Yeah.
Even though I'm an ally, what ended up happening was community members felt unsafe, and even some had suicidal ideations because they sincerely believed the community wanted them dead. And I wanted to make sure that there was some type of background event or meetup where they could see that that was not the case.
Well,
And
so
what
a couple of thoughts here before you move on. One, you were talking about the Gadsden Free Store, and you were like, "Oh, that's about it. That's about all we did." That's fucking huge. You said you helped 20 to 30 people who are unhoused in your community get back on their feet, whether that's through getting their paperwork that they needed, because the government and paperwork are the worst ever. They're so slow and so hard to work with, but that's a huge fucking deal. And I think when we talk about pride and we talk about representation and these events, these types of events, like literally, like you said, they're saving lives. Finding out that you're not the only person in your community or that the community has opened their arms to you, that's a huge fucking deal. That's awesome. I love that. And you did that for how many events did you do?
oh, I did it for years, 3 years, and actually, I ended up not doing it this year because I started running for office,
Yeah.
and I still found one of the organizations I've been a part of, Stay Together Appalachian Youth. It's a youth leadership and acceleration program. It's regional also through Appalachia. I found out this year that I hadn't spent any money because they have a program where if you're a member, you can go into a membership fund to help community do community activities of your community. So this year I'm doing potlucks. I did one for Thanksgiving and I'm planning on doing one for
Cool.
Christmas.
That's so fun. I like that. It feels like we already, obviously, when I introduced you, we said you're a community organizer, but like you're you're not just the organizer part, you're the community part as well. You're
Hmm.
like really building these events around the community and making sure that everyone feels like they have a place to go and a place to be and the representation that they need. And that's just it's exciting. Could you explain a little bit about where on the map of Alabama House District 28 is?
Alabama House District 28 it's in the middle of a triangle between Birmingham, Huntsville, and Atlanta.
Okay.
It's right in the middle. It's Northeast Alabama.
Okay.
If Alabama was split into 4 quadrants, it'd be in this top right-hand quadrant.
I gotcha. I gotcha. Thanks. That's for our non-Alabama listeners. This podcast has lent itself a little bit towards Alabama because you guys just have so many really great people running like yourself. But we have a lot of listeners who aren't in Alabama. So that's why I asked. And you talked a little bit about at the beginning about the constituents and about the makeup, like demographic makeup and what's happening there. But aside from the rent cap idea that you have, and aside from expanding Medicare for all, what are some other things you're hearing from your potential constituents, like, that are major issues for them?
For the most part, it really boils down to being able to survive, and affordability is a big one. I'm hearing just not even specifically minimum wage, but like, how do I even put this? The entire moneyed system has been an issue for some people. If it's not one thing, it's another thing.
Mm,
If it's not one bill, it's another bill that randomly comes out that you forgot about that was a year ago, because
yeah,
that happens sometimes.
it does.
There is ecological issues that pop up. One of the bills that I want to start working on is just a environmental bill that explicitly says that you, as Alabama residents, have a right to clean air, clean water, and clean land. Because currently, a lot of our protections are under the federal system, and we cannot trust the federal government because every 4 years, the person in charge can change. So we need a
Yeah,
more permanent solution.
yeah,
It
well,
also gives, sorry, you were going to say
no, I
something?
was gonna say, well, I was gonna say, this is what people forget a lot, right? We have our federal government, then we have our state government, then we have these local governments, and we have, like, county and municipalities, and there's so much governing that actually does get done at the state level that I think people forget about. People kind of they're like, "Oh, I voted for president. I don't need to vote for a while." And it's like, "No, no. State state house is super important and dealing with some of these ecological things can come from the state house, not just expanding Medicare, but also taking care of the land that you're living on that might help future Alabamians." I feel like I always get that wrong. Alabamians?
Yeah,
Alabamians.
that's right.
Either one.
That also goes back into even just having an outlook for the future. due to the fact that we live in a capitalistic economy, we have to be able to make some type of money to survive. And I do want my people to survive. So, like having a plan for economic development long term is important. And I've not heard much about that from my opponent or from a lot of people in Alabama. Gadsden is the main focal point of my district. There are other parts of my district, but it's just Gadsden is like the biggest one, but also it's the hub of the entire county.
Right.
So what happens is Gadsden and the entire county in my district is within an hour or within 3 hours of every single major metropolitan and most of the economy in the South. So if you go an hour and a half this way from Gadsden, you go and you meet Atlanta. Go
Right.
this way, about an hour and 25 minutes from Gadsden, you hit Chattanooga. Another hour, you hit Nashville. An hour down, you're hitting Birmingham. 2 hours down, you're hitting Montgomery.
Right.
Hour to your left, you're hitting Huntsville.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we can be a major logistical point in general for the South on a 10 to 20 year economical project. The main issue being we have to start building some type of rail that will be able to connect it. And if
Yeah.
we build of course, if we build a rail with the main point being my district will get a lot more economy coming to it.
Right.
Just because there'll be individuals that are like, look, we have a rock show between Atlanta and Memphis. We'll just stop over in Gadsden, hit the rail back up, and keep it going. Hey, we want to go on a day trip. We don't feel like that's another good thing is there's a lot of areas in my district that has a lot of ecological sense. We want to be able to go and sit on a river.
Yeah.
We live in Atlanta. We can go get on our rail system, go to Gadsden, and Gadsden has a big old river running right down the middle of the city. We want to go visit some falls, but we don't want to hike because most falls you got to hike an
Yeah.
hour
You
and a
got to
half to
go
get to them.
all the way up. Yeah.
So one of the fun things about Gadsden and my district is we have Nakalula Falls right off the highway, which you can drive up to. Now you can choose if you want to take the trails, go down and go underneath the falls. Yes.
Right.
If you just want to see the top of the falls, you literally can drive right up to it. So I do think we have a lot of opportunity in and around my district. And because we are within driving distance, and if we are able to eventually get to it, rail distance, we'll be able to start really looking at expanding the economic base of my community, number one. But number two, if and when we become more of a tourist location, small businesses will be able to turn into co-ops.
Right. So before we get into the co-op, I love that you're thinking about a 10 to 20-year plan. I think one of the things that the United States does really poorly is planning. Planning, we're pretty short-sighted folks, and you've already mentioned capitalism a few times, and a lot of it has to do with making money immediately and not thinking about the future. But when you think about like building rail, when you think about all of this like local economy that will be built up, like that is something that could sustain generations and generations of people in Alabama's 28th State House District, right? I appreciate that you're bringing it up because I think this next generation of leaders actually has a chance to do all of those things. So,
Which I think that's also important when we talk about the actual representation of what you want in your community. Yeah, someone can say, yeah, I'm bringing a factory with 100 jobs. Okay, number one, the first thing I'd ask is, what is the ecological damage that's going to be done by that factory?
right,
Mostly, even from a capitalistic sense. Like I said, I have a river running right through my district. I have falls that run right off the highway. If you mess those up, you mess up like one of the main tourist attractions, one of the main economic deliverables for my community. So I can't have you in here doing that. Number one. Number two, those jobs you're bringing, are they going to be at least $10 to $11 bare minimum? If
yeah,
not, I don't need it here. You can go work at McDonald's for more. So you got to
right,
be actually competitive with what you're paying if you want to come into my district with my approval or at least try and get me on
like
the same page.
right with my hand holding exactly.
Yeah. Another thing is okay, yeah, you're doing this for the community. How many of those actual jobs are going to be held by community members? You're not
That's
going to
the
bring
ticket.
in,
Yeah.
yeah, you're not going to bring in 200 people and then you said you're bringing 250 jobs to my district.
Right.
That's not helpful to my district. And what other investments are you making in my community other than just finding wage labor to use? Are you bringing any type of community activity? Are you bringing any type of scholarships? Are you bringing any type of nonprofit status deliverables? Anything like that?
Like
Like
anything
I'm
else.
going, yeah.
Like, you're like, anything, really, for the love of God, anything else. Yeah.
I also have a personal belief that if you have the capability to do something, you have the responsibility to do it. So, like for example, when I win this seat, I do get a big pay boost because I'll be going from making nickels and dimes to 60K roughly a year. I'm going to take some of that money and I'm going to set up 2 or 3 scholarships. Not big scholarships, but scholarships nonetheless, so that community members won't be held back by certain restrictions. A great restriction that is not always brought up is paying for college applications. College applications cost anywhere from $50 to $100. That is the reason why I'll be making, when I win, I will be making hopefully we'll try to make a partnership with my local community college,
Yeah.
and I'll be making a scholarship that will literally just cover like, hey, if you win the scholarship, we'll give you $150 plus a laptop. So at the very least, you'll get a laptop. You'll be able to start if you're someone that did not have a laptop, like myself, I didn't have a
Yeah.
laptop until
A
I
lot
got
of
out of
people didn't have a
school.
laptop. Yeah.
So you'll be given a laptop. You won't have to worry about the application fee, and you will be able to use a laptop as long as the laptop exists. But in general, it gives you a lot more opportunity. And you don't, because there are a lot of parents that say, once you turn 18, I don't need to do anything with
You're on
you.
your own.
You're on your own. If you become
Yeah.
homeless, that's your fault. So it's giving that opportunity to like our 18-year-olds. And I'm hoping to do 2 or 3, both because I have the money to spare. Like these scholarships are going to be roughly $100 to $160, and I should be able to pay for a decade worth of this scholarship within the first year of my actually getting my legislative salary. The idea being, I want to build infrastructure for community members to be able to take this action and idea and keep it going. So even if I lose my reelection, if I'm able to pay for a decade of this scholarship,
Yeah.
hey, it'll last a long time. It literally will outlast me and the next person that
Right.
wins
Right.
the
Right.
seat if it lasts a decade.
So I love this idea, and I think it's actually really great. And I think that a lot of people forget so many different barriers to get into college and to make it through college. I was thinking about like the cost of textbooks, right? It's a couple hundred more dollars, things like that. Sometimes you can get them used, which is great. But like this is why I've been screaming from the rooftops about like secondary educational reform because this is bullshit. Everyone should be able to go to college whether they want to or not, and it should cost hundreds of dollars in total, not just hundreds of dollars to apply. But I like the idea of like you're planting seeds. You're not just running. I know you're not just running for yourself, but you're not just running to get your name in lights. You're running to make your community better for 4 years, 10 years, whatever you can do. What do you think some of the biggest challenges are going to be for your run and how are you thinking about overcoming those?
Honestly, the biggest challenge is going to be the fact that I don't have $1 million in my bank account. That's it.
Yeah.
That's frankly, that is going to be material aspect needs are going to be one of the biggest issues. When I win, I actually will be, I think, one of only 3 or 4 people that didn't immediately make at least 60 to $100,000 before I ran for office.
Mhm.
I'll be like one of only 4 or 5 working class members in a state representative since that is like well over, I think there's maybe statewide, there's about 160, 170 elections And none of those community members actually have come from the working class within the last 4 years. Now, some may have been working class a decade ago, but
Right.
not recently. And that does play into the fact that like my opponent will be able to just say, hey, I'm going to go get 30 people, pay them $30 an hour, and is well within budget. I can't do that. I have to motivate people to come out to
Right.
vote and come out to volunteer based on myself and what I think is the applicable excitement for the community.
How do you think you're gonna do that? I mean, that's a big challenge, but we're seeing young people mobilized all over the country. You know, obviously last November there was a lot of really great elections, and then we're recording today on December 2nd, another special election where a state representative is running for a congressional seat in Tennessee, but a lot of people are excited, a lot of people are ready for change. How do you think you're gonna get your community mobilized? What's the plan?
So there is the fact that I believe that I am the change that they are looking for, both in economic sense and in generational sense, but also community contact. I sincerely believe that we need to do a better job of doing actions in and around our community. And a part of that is activities like the potluck, but also other activities and other actionable items that sometimes go underreported. So, for example, within the next month and a half, once I'm able to get through the application process to actually run for office, because the filing for that ends January the 23rd, if I remember correctly,
Mhm.
I'm going to start door knocking. Some people wouldn't have even started door knocking until the summer because right now it doesn't look like I'm going to have a primary, but I'm going to start door knocking. And the way the system is going to be set up is I'm going to go down the list. I'm going to contact them first, try to call them saying, hey, this is the day I'm coming over. Because something that happens is when you get on doors, it's very difficult for like community members to be there. People aren't expecting you at their door.
Yeah.
You have a higher conversion.
Right.
You have a higher conversion rate if you're saying, hey, I am coming over.
Right. Heads up, I'm gonna be in your neighborhood this
Yeah.
day. Let's go. Yeah.
So start with a community conversation on the phone. Then we go knock doors. And then based on who doors we're able to knock, we then notate those doors and notate that support. That way we get a higher chance of actually reaching out to people. And we're also going to have a secondary set of people that will be sending out postcards. So if
Yeah.
we're able to get in contact with you, what's going to happen is, hey, we're glad we're able to get in contact with you. If you have any questions for us, you can access here.
Right.
However, if we're unable to get in touch with you, we'll be able to send a different postcard. Sorry, we missed you. This is our contact info. We'll come back again another time.
Right. I love
I
it.
think in general we need to do a better job of like actual contact people. And the investment in calling someone is a lot cheaper than the investment of driving out and knocking their door.
We're gonna take a quick break for ads right here. If you care about politics enough to listen to this podcast, you've probably felt the frustration of trying to navigate government. Who's your city council member? Your state? What district are you even in? It shouldn't be this hard. Luckily for us, there's Civic Politics, a free app that brings all your elected officials together in one place from City Hall to Congress. No more hunting across dozens of outdated government websites. Just download Civic Politics on the App Store or Google Play Store and finally have your representatives in the palm of your hand. Follow at civic.app on TikTok or civic.politics on Instagram to be the first to know about the latest features. Also, question for you about Gadsden and this district. Like, how rural is it? You have the river. Like, how far apart are these houses that you're going to be knocking? Like you said, it's an investment. It's time consuming.
So that goes back to the actual door knocking plan. I would say Gadsden is about 70% metro,
Okay.
15% suburban, and then 15% rural.
Okay. Got it.
But I'm in the middle of the city. I can drive 10 minutes and I'm out in the rural part.
Nice.
So
Okay.
it switches over pretty quickly.
That's the South for you, baby. You get like 30 minutes outside a city, and all of a sudden you're like, it's me and the cows. Yeah.
So yeah, the idea for that is we're going to work our way in. So we're going to be contacting these people. They're going to be people that have in the past voted for the Democratic Party or have voted or have maybe they've lapsed in the last 4 or 5 years and we want to check on them in general. We're going to contact them first and we're going from our rural area in.
Mhm.
So the idea being I'm going to my most rural area of Gallant. Yes, is it a trek to get over there? It's like a 30-minute drive. That is true. However, when we door knock and clear out that area, we're going to go to Ivory, which is right next to it. And then from there, we push in. We're going to go to Rainbow City. Then I think it would be Atala. Then we
Yeah.
push in, and then it goes to Meadowbrook, Gadsden, Tillerson Bend.
Yeah.
And our more rural areas over here. So we're going to start on our rural areas as early as possible and then work our way in. So by the time we hit summer, we're dealing with all of our metro area. We have already knocked our rural area at least once to 2 times.
Yeah.
And the investment needed for getting doors knocked is going to be a lot cheaper going internally this way than going externally this way. 30 minutes of door knocking or 30 minutes to get out to your rural area.
Right.
The idea is to collapse in. That way we cover certain areas and it gets cheaper and more effective and more likely to actually hit doors as we come in.
Well, and hopefully you'll find a couple of volunteers that are in the rural areas that are gonna be able to be out in that community representing you a little bit with some literature, leading some door knockings while you guys are tackling the interior. They'll still be getting the 3rd and 4th passes across the rural areas.
That is the plan. We're hopefully going to have a precinct captain. Every
Mhm.
place that is going to have a precinct that someone can go vote at, they're hopefully going to have someone that's going to be in charge there.
Yeah.
And the idea is once we already call and door knock once, we'll contact you again because we'll have some type of house party. That way, if you weren't able to make it on Friday, Saturday, or Sunday when we try to knock your door, you'll get contacted again. Hey, on a Thursday, we're going to have this house party with where one of your members lives 5 minutes from your house. We're going to have one or two in every single precinct. That way, if you missed me the 3 or 4 weekend days because you work on the weekends, but you have some time on the weekdays, you get another opportunity to come
Yeah.
see me.
Sounds like a good plan. I like it. I think it's strategic, and I think again, we just talked about this, but again, I think these like movements with a lot of ground support are kind of unbeatable, right? I know there's a ton of Democrats in Alabama. I also know that Alabama's probably even at the state level a bit gerrymandered. So just getting out there, letting people know that you're ready to fight for them and ready to flip seats. I think a lot of people are
So,
like ready for that.
so Alabama has over 1.3 million Democrats.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, Alabama has more Democrats than 12 or 13 states in the union. It's just that it's highly gerrymandered and a
Yeah.
lot of Democrats don't have nothing to fight for here.
Right. I mean, that's what I've been learning from every single Alabamian I speak to is like, they're like, oh, I'm the first Democrat running in 30 years. I'm the first Democrat running in 25 years. And it's crazy. I mean, it's great to see these people running. It's great to see all of your Democratic clubs, your like county clubs stepping up and like jumping in. And because I grew up in North Carolina originally. So obviously we're now like a little swing state. So there's a lot of eyes on North Carolina, but I feel like the national party from the Democratic side has just given up on Alabama, and it's so frustrating to me. So I'm
So
glad we're talking.
what I will say about that is we have our own internal issues that make it difficult for anyone to keep up. So essentially, the people that are in charge of the state party have multiple times broken our bylaws, the literal legal text that we use to, oversee the entire state party. So much so that when I was a youth caucus member about 3 or 4 years ago, they actually had me removed, and every at large member, which included youth caucus members, it included Asian Pacific Islander, it included Hispanic, it included LGBTQ, it included Native Americans, and they wouldn't even let disability have its own caucus, all because there's a lot of infighting over who can be the king of a burnt out castle.
Sorry for laughing, but that's a perfect line. That you nailed it. There's infighting over who can be the king of a burnt out castle. Wow.
I've been at these Democratic Party meetings that's in Montgomery, that's 2 hours away. I've done that for 6 years. I can tell you, things will get better for the state party when the current chair and the vice chair of minority affairs peacefully pass away.
I think it's just it goes back to what we were talking about at the upfront, right? It's time for generational change. It's time for younger people. It's time for leaders who actually represent their communities and, to an extent, put some ego to the fucking side, right? Like, cool, you want to be in charge of the Alabama State Democratic Party, but if you're not helping people and you're not letting the minority caucuses in, you're not letting the chairs and these at-large members in, then why the fuck are you in charge? Excuse my language, like that, then you're not doing your job. So I think it goes back to that original, just people are ready for a big change, and that goes across like every single level. So
Yeah, it's one of the issues that I've seen is just like when you're talking about at the state level, we go down there, we go get yelled at by the person that is, I don't mind saying it's Joe Reed and Randy Kelly. Randy Kelly is the person that actually runs the state party. Joe Reed is the person that got the votes to make sure Randy Kelly's in charge. But look, I've been doing that for 6 years. Multiple times I've been belittled for being a child, even though by the time I got like into the state party representing youth, I was already 23. I already had rent to pay.
right,
Anybody that got rent to pay, they're not a child.
they're not a kid. No, no, fuck that. I the Are you a millennial or are you Gen Z?
I think I'm like Gen Z by a year.
Okay. So, like, I'm a millennial and they did that to us for fucking decades. I mean, to the point that, like, some millennials were in their 40s and they were like, "These kids just don't wanna fucking work," and I'm like, "These kids have kids. What do you mean these kids?" I that you hit a spot for me if you can't tell. I really get really frustrated when people who are older belittle younger people who A, are involved and B, doing work and just trying to make things better. It makes me
And
really
most of the
fucking
time,
angry.
yeah, and most of the time they don't want us. They just want our good knees to go do something for them.
That's true. They're like, "Do the heavy lifting. Thank you, and then we'll take credit for it." Oh, man. Okay, so you did that for 6 years.
I'm still doing that.
They're still doing that, but they're not letting you in, or they are letting you in now?
So about I think like 2 years ago, the National Party got involved and they rescinded that rule at the state level.
Okay.
They overruled it. But yeah, the Alabama Democratic Party is so terrible at the statewide level that the national parties had to step in 3 or 4 times. Not to mention, they're going to have to step in again pretty soon because like there was a whole kerfuffle. So what ended up happening was there were Joe Reed and Randy Kelly, I guess, wanted to add a $50 fee to those people who are at large. The idea is if you run on the ballot to represent your district as a state Democratic member, you have to pay $50. Understandable. But what's not there is after all these people are elected and they went to go do the actual measurement for demographics, like, hey, we had over 100 Caucasian people elected. However, due to the fact that the Alabama last primary, Black African Americans made up like 67% of the electorate, we have to add at large people. We have to appoint them in to make sure we have that measurement correct. So it actually looks like the Democratic Party.
Right.
So there's a whole bunch of at large people, myself included, that didn't have to pay that $50 because it wasn't in the text. And also the national party said that we didn't have to do that. They didn't care. They wanted to try to pass this. And that's the reason why it's going to go up to national in probably 6 or 7 months. And they're going to get
I
told, don't
see.
do this. And then it's going to get knocked down again. So shenanigans like that has happened a whole bunch. But never once have I heard out of their mouth, hey, this is our organizing map. These are our target Cs. We see that you're a person running for office. We want to try and set you up with some volunteers we know of in your area.
Right.
Because they did put out multiple Google forms asking people, did they want to run for office? Did they want to
Right.
volunteer? They have a volunteer bank file that's full of volunteers for the area. But they haven't released any of that information. Hopefully, maybe they're just saying, hey, man, we're going to wait until the primary is over, then release that information. but they've been lackluster before. So
It
I
seems like they
sincerely
didn't
doubt it.
really release it this year for any of the special elections either, and yeah.
It doesn't feel like it.
No, I don't think it did. Like, every single other person that I spoke to, either running for state senate or for state house, there were 2 special elections, and were getting 0 help from the state party, but where they said they were finding good people were with those, like, Democratic county clubs and county
Mhm,
committees, which I think it's cool, you know? It's a good start, and it's great to see other people mobilizing, and it kind of goes back to that, like, representation of just, like, not being alone in your community and having exciting candidates to actually rally behind, which I think all of the
mhm.
Democratic Party needs. We need some more exciting candidates, which is I'm glad I'm getting to talk to you, and I think you fit our shtick is we're on the hunt for the next generation of leaders, and I think you fit that. I think you've got really great ideas and actually care about the people you wanna represent.
Thank you. And I really do hope, because this is the last year that they're in charge. I'm hoping that we can find new people to vote them out.
Yeah.
And when they're voted out, hopefully someone can run for that seat or those 2 seats. Depending on if I hear back from 1 or 2 people that may be running for chair. If they end up not running for chair, I'm running for chair of the state party, because I also think there are certain things that need to change about that. But also, like, bare minimum, I think the state party, it has a statewide infrastructure. I don't see why
Right.
it isn't mandated every single county party be functioning, have some type of mutual aid,
Yeah.
have some type of educational program. Those 3 things.
It would change the
Because
face of politics in Alabama in, like, years, you know? Like, in, like, maybe a couple of election seasons.
yeah,
That was a
I
very
say I
defeated
say yeah
yeah.
because it's I say yeah because there will be a whole bunch of people internally that would have to go and or wouldn't be with it, that would have to be dealt with, just because they'll be like, "Look, I am in this political position to enrich myself. I don't feel like going out and doing a soup kitchen with my county party, or I don't care." Under our new bylaws, it
We
says that you're gonna
voted.
be yeah, under our new bylaws, it says that you're gonna be doing soup kitchens. You're gonna be teaching people how to take care of themselves. Your county party is gonna be a resource hub.
Yeah.
You're gonna be irritated because some of your friends who've been in these entrenched political positions, if I'm in charge, are gonna be gone. There's gonna be some individuals I'm straight up replacing with organizers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, "Hey, man."
But also, people forget this. That's what the Democratic Party was years and years and decades ago before getting into bed with, like, corporate sponsors and stuff like this was it was filled with activists, it was filled with organizers, it was filled with people who actually talked to people on like, in the communities every day versus just taking these big checks. And there was a switch in the '90s with Bill Clinton and stuff, and I understand, like, TV spots and shit are expensive, but, like, the Democratic Party was the party of organizers back in ye olden days, and I think it is a way to win our communities back is actually to shocking, do good by communities, show up and be in
Mhm.
communities, and all of a sudden, yes, communities will be happy to see Democrats doing shit and doing things that matter.
Same thing with unions, same thing with a whole bunch of other stuff. And another thing I think will be important is then putting cap ins on what it means to be a Democrat or what it means to be a person of interest that you want to run. I'm personally a Democratic socialist.
Yeah.
So there are a whole bunch of stuff I'd like to see the Democratic Party do differently. And if I have my way, they're going to do it differently. But also, one of the things that will pop up is if you change the rules of the Democratic bylaws, you get to decide who gets to run under your ballot or your party ticket. So there will be other things I'll be looking deeply into. If you accept APAC money, if you accept anti-union money, we're probably, if I'm in charge, I'm going to be pushing bylaw changes to make sure you cannot run under the Democratic Party line.
It's a crazy thing that I have to say this, but if you are accepting money from a that represents a foreign country to run for office in the United States, I don't know why you're allowed to run for office. I like it. Our
because
corporate
it's
interest
profitable.
game, I know our corporate interest game has gotten so big and so powerful that we're letting other countries buy into our elections, and people are like, "Oh yeah, that's normal." It's not. It shouldn't be allowed. I'm with you on that. 100%. It's just insane to me that it's like people don't register it as election interference. To me, it's abundantly clear that it's like a foreign entity is, and not just like a foreign company, a foreign nation is buying into our political. You get it. I'm just trying to map it out for people who don't think that it's actually a problem because it's driving me crazy.
It's also really a problem in Alabama because we have it on the books that we
Is it?
have to support them. Like
What?
fiscally, we have like it's on our books. Like a actual law that passed our state legislature that we have to support them.
Israel?
Yes,
Why? What is it? Hold on. Hold on. What is Alabama doing to support Israel?
Alabama isn't the only state, but like we have it written down under our laws that we legally have to support them,
How? How's Alabama supporting them?
both through restrictions around the First Amendment or the BDS movement, and also through fiscal means that
Can I
we
ask you
actually have
what
to.
that what'd you say? The BDS?
Yes,
What is that?
boycott, divest, and
Oh,
strike.
yes, yes. Okay. Yeah.
So it was something that started against Israel, I think like 2016,
Yeah.
2017. And then a whole bunch of states started making new laws saying that you can't do that, even though it's a foreign country. It
Yeah.
is covered under your First Amendment rights. But no one's really challenged that, as far as I know, at the constitutional or legal level past states. But that's
Yeah.
partially because a lot of states don't care.
Well, and I knew that like there'd been a handful of different anti-Semitism laws that tied in Israel at the federal level. I did not know they were done at the state level. Obviously, I know that like a lot of these colleges are invested in Israel and there's a big divestment movement there, but like I had no idea that was at the state level. And of course, I should have known, but that is crazy.
Yeah, it's rough.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where I don't understand why it can be done in such a way.
Right.
We'll be right back after this break.
Government information shouldn't require a scavenger hunt. Luckily for us, Civic Politics is a free app that shows you all of your elected officials, city, state, federal, all in one place. Download it now on the App Store or in Google Play Store and have the information you need in the palm of your hand.
Technically, it's legal, but also
I-
that's another thing I want to do is go through the current legal system internally of the representation system and start picking away at certain things. A great example being if the Supreme Court today overturned the Workers' Fair Wage Act, I think it's called, that deals with the minimum wage. If they say states' rights to lower the minimum wage to $5, for example, the state of Alabama doesn't have a minimum wage on its books. Its minimum wage is $0. We're just forced by the federal government to do 725, in part because when other states started doing minimum wages, Alabama didn't want to do a minimum wage because there's too many black people who would have to be paid a minimum. So
Yeah.
they started saying, if you want money, you better start asking for a tip. And that's where tipping culture comes from. It's another bill that I'm working on that I want a universal 725 minimum wage. And for those who do tip jobs that don't want 725, I still want their pay doubled to about 430, 440.
Yeah, it's like 215 or something. That's
Yeah,
what it is.
because the
That's
problem there
insane.
is it's not a guarantee that you're able to actually make tips every single day
Of course not.
and every single time make $20+ on tips. There's also issues where like it's still exploitative in nature. There will be some creeps that are like, look, I know that you work off of tips. I'm going to inappropriately grab you, but I'm
Yeah.
also going to give you enough money to make sure your son doesn't have to work in the dark. Your light bill's going to get paid.
Yeah.
And then
I
you
mean,
have to make the
truly.
decision. You then have to make the decision of, was it worth being fondled to make sure that my children eat?
Yeah. As a former younger woman in the service industry, that is 100% what happens. You're making calculated decisions every day about what you will accept from the people you serve, which is insane.
And as a person who wants to serve my my entire community, I don't find that acceptable. So at the
Yeah.
very least, we're going to get that. We're going to get them wages up. That way, it happens a little less. I personally would want their entire wage to go up a lot more, but I've talked to community members and said they don't want that. So at the
Yeah.
very least, I want to double it.
Tipping can
I
be very
also,
lucrative.
yeah,
That's also the problem. It's a little addictive because like one night you have a really big night and you're like, well, damn, maybe every night's like that. And then of course it's not,
mhm,
but it is. It's a little bit. It does something to your brain, like the dopamine receptors in your brain a
yeah.
little bit.
Same thing with I'll get this out the way in case it's asked later. I believe that if you contribute time, money, and energy into something, you deserve to see some type of payout if you're doing it for profitable means. And sometimes that profitable means for your community, but sometimes it's just to feed you. So I am in favor of individuals that want to do sex work to do sex work. It is literally work.
Yeah,
Anyone that says otherwise just needs to stand in some high heels for more than 30 minutes.
exactly.
Number one. Number two, I want them to have the same workers' rights. I don't want them exploited. I want them to be able to form unions, to be honest. But Alabama has like the
The
workers' right union
right to
thing where it
work.
makes it
Yeah.
harder, right to work, where it makes it harder for unions to form. I'm against right to work. I'll be trying to put in legislation to fight that.
Yeah.
But in general, I'm for working class individuals being able to be happy, safe, healthy, and finding alternatives to get around exploitation. A great example being I want to look into some type of program to fast track certification for childcare. I think that there are elderly individuals that are retired that will be able to provide cheap or free childcare in our
And they would
community.
love it. They would be so good for them too, you know?
And even if you pay them $200 a month, that is cheaper than the average
Yeah.
$458 it is
Yeah.
currently.
Yeah. And it's really good. It's really good for elderly people to be around babies. It like it keeps their brain fresh. And that's such a great addition to the like to the whole community. What happened? Sorry.
No, you're fine.
Yeah, but that's like people will comment on that voice change. Don't you worry. The weirdest comments come around my voice. But so we have one more segment left. Do you have the time? I know I only put on your calendar until 12. Do you have like
I have
10
the
more
time.
minutes? Okay, great. This part that we do is just like some rapid fire get to know you questions. These are yes or no. The last one's short answer. But first, before we do that, will you remind everyone where they can find you and where they can donate to your campaign and see everything that you stand for?
So you can find me at www.vote4, the number 4, roberthunter.com. You can find me on, actually, if you go to that website, it has all my links below.
Yeah.
I am asking for 300 people to be willing to give $5 to $20 a month. That'll fully fund the shoestring budget campaign. I could use more, but that's the minimum I need to actually win. What was the other part?
That's pretty much it, right? Because if they go to find where
www.voteforroberthunter.com. Yeah.
they'll be able to find where to donate, right?
Yes.
Exactly.
And it's not just donations of money. If you're willing to in kind, I'll have to do different paperwork, but if you're willing to in kind donate utensils, pen, paper, anything like that, we're more than likely willing to take it. Just contact me first because, yeah, I want to in kind donate clams. I can't do nothing with clams.
No, if they do,
Con-
if they want to donate a bunch of cupcakes for an event,
oh,
maybe you
yes.
can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. But I learned while running a free store and also being a community member, you have to be very specific with your asks and
Yeah.
with your words because, I've learned the hard way. Hey, man, if you ever need to talk to me, let me know. Now, I love unsaid. That is from the time of 8 a.m. to 11 p.m.
It's pretty
And then
normal
someone will
daylight
count. Yeah.
hours.
Yeah, someone will contact me at 3:45 in the morning. I'm like, "Okay, do I need to talk you off a ledge literally or
Right, right.
metaphorically?" They're like, "No, I'm just contacting you because I had a conversation I wanted to have about birds." I'm like, "Okay, I'm so sorry I did not explicitly say this, but you can talk to me about that. But if it's not you listening to Papa Roach Last Resort at 3 in the morning, please hold that for when I wake up."
When I worked on campaigns, you had to, I'm like, if I don't respond, it's because I've gone to sleep. And if it's an emergency, you should call emergency services because I can't do anything until the morning, but they could help. I literally had a like shortcut in my phone to text that out to people.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, are you ready?
Yes.
First question, are you a morning or an evening person?
Probably a night person, to be honest.
So you were up at 3:45 a.m. when they talked to you about birds.
Most of the time, I'm most active between 10 p.m. and 1 a.m.
Okay. Are you a coffee, tea, or other caffeinated beverage drinker?
When I can afford it, yeah, but most of the time I can't, to be honest.
So you're just running on campaign high energy.
Mm-hmm.
You're like you're insane. Okay, if you had to eat one meal every day for an entire year, what would that be?
Golly, probably the potatoes, asparagus, and rib/steak combo. Mostly because if I get tired of the steak, I can just throw that out and eat the vegetables and then just rotate from there.
It's a very pragmatic approach. I like it. Okay. And then this is our quick little short answer question. What is your favorite thing about Alabama State House District 28?
Probably the capability of individuals to find some type of action or form within 10 minutes. If you want to take an action of hiking, we have that within 10 minutes. If you want to take an action of fishing, we have that within 10 minutes. If you want to take an action of going to the arts, we have a museum that you can reach in 10 minutes. If you want to go to school, we have a community college. You can reach that in about 20 minutes. We have plenty of elementary schools. We do only have one high school. If you are wanting to get into even something as abstract as specifically saying, hey, man, I want to donate my time to a volunteer thing, but only sometimes during the week. We have that too. We have a public library that you can go to that you also can get resources out of. So I like the fact that there is access to resources for our community members. And I want to optimize that to make sure it's available for everyone, not just people who have access to a car.
Perfect spot to wrap up. Robert, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for
This is
having
such
me.
a fun conversation. And again, the website you guys are looking for is voteroberthunter.com, and you'll be able to find everything and every place where to donate, where to reach out if you would like to donate something in kind, or where to follow him online as well.
I also will say Alabama they don't have restrictions on cap. So unlike federal races where you can only give $2,500, you can give $1 million if you actually want to. Now, anything over $200, I'm probably going to have a private conversation with to learn your intentions because I don't play that. But by all means, if you have someone that wants to give more, they can give as much as they want. And it will be a highly helpful investment due to the fact that we arguably have the most competitive seat in the entire state of Alabama that's not held by a Democrat because we are a R plus. We're an R+5 seat, and this district has been held by a Democrat for the last 52 years. It's been held by a Democrat for 44 of them. And of those 44, 18 of them was the minority leader for the entire statewide Democratic Party.
So it's time to get back to the to get back to the left. Because yeah, hell yeah, I love it. If you've made it this far, thank you so much. Thank you for following The Foolish Optimist. You can follow us on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts, pretty much. We're going to be dropping new episodes every Wednesday, and you can watch the video episodes on YouTube. If you would like to, please give us a review, leave comments. You can also email us at thefoolishoptimistpodcast@gmail.com. If you see any really great candidates that I should be talking to, send them my way. Thank you.